Hi there, John Anthony here, and I had an email today. I've been asked quite a lot about NLP, so I thought I'd do another video on NLP, Neuro-linguistic programming. You've probably heard about it. People use it to try and elicit the response they require, to gain rapport with people, to use influential, persuasive language in your emails, on your capture page, to get people involved, actively engaged, involved in a dialogue, find out what they want. But it also is an amazing technology, and I advise anybody in the field of dealing with people. So that's all of us. You have all in. It's a contact sport. Life, we're dealing with people all the time. You're going to have your own hopes, dreams, desires, but you haven't got anyone else around you. Your job's going to be hard. Your job is to be with other people, connect with other people. And neuro-linguistic programming allows you to do that. It's not the way, it's not the only way, it is a way for you. And if you get into it, I would say, if it interests you at all, read up on it. I'll cover the books that I think would be of interest to somebody taking this as a first step into neuro-linguistic programming. So what's it all about? Started in the early 1970s by John Grindler and Richard Bandler, and they were looking to how to model excellence. How can you model the excellence, the behaviour of somebody who is excellent in their field? So they looked at the best in their area, and you had people like Fritz Perls, Virginia Satir, Bateson, people in therapy. And how can they affect a change in somebody when other therapists couldn't do it, and also the speed and the clarity and the long standing of affecting that change would carry on days, years, a lifetime after the therapy. And also they modelled the wonderful Milton Erickson, who was a hypnotist, hypnotherapist. I came into connection with NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, in the early 1990s when I joined an insurance company. I got involved with that company, and they opened my eyes to improving my knowledge, improving my craft. If I wanted to deal with people, I had to be better. As one of my managers would say, the business is not out there, John, it's in here. That's where you've got to start. So the first books I read, not knowing about NLP, one of the recommended lists, of course, in that times was Unlimited Power, Anthony Robbins. Fantastic book. That guy is an amazing inspiration just to actually witness him on video. Read his books where you can actually take it and dive in at your own leisure. And with a book, it makes your mind think far more. If you're watching a video, you're taking things in, but you're taking in the opinion that he's got in this 20, 30 hour long whatever video. You read a book, time is your own. Another amazing book I read at the same time, Awaken the Giant Within, Anthony Robbins. And again, it covers NLP. NLP is not the only way for you to discover the interactions and the beautiful dialogue between people and affect and influence. Not necessarily your influence, but to realise you're under the influence of another person and an environment you're in. But it does allow you to highlight, to think at things more clearly. It gives you a framework to work about the discussions you're having, and how to influence, how to get what you want. It's got to be a two-way street, give and take, win-win situation. They've got to get something, you've got to get something, but it's finding out about the person. So that's kind of some of the things that NLP can do. They talk about the map is not the territory. You can't eat the word food, you can't drink the word water. That actually represents something to you. So people have higher thinking structures, thinking plans. They might act in a certain way, but there's other things going on, and there's a process before any action, any habit. So it allows you to highlight that and say, use this framework to work out how somebody's achieving a certain result. If one person's achieving a result, then other people can too. Of course in their own unique way, but you can kind of follow the process. And one of the prerequisites of NLP is that we have different modalities, different structures of thinking. Somebody might be more visual. The visual people they will look different. They will act different. If you just people watch, I love to people watch. The visual person will be quite jumpity. They might be quite more flamboyant in their dress. They might not be. They might use language to say, well, can you see what I mean? Picture this. And it's not always an exact science in this part, because we nowadays talk in cliches. So you can say, how does that sound to you? What does that look like? Can you picture this? Use different metaphors. But it kind of gives you an idea. There's a framework behind people's thought processes. So maybe the audio person, this is what's going to go inside their mind. So if you're talking to somebody, the visual, their initial stage of the thinking process is going to be more visual. They might start to picture something. If you've got something more the auditory side, they're going to listen. They're going to hear things going inside their mind. They're going to hear the story. They're going to hear your words. They will talk in a different way. They will talk very precise, because language, sound is vitally important to them. A visual person might not really want to know what you've got to say and be quite bored with somebody's conversation who's very, very auditory, because they'll be very pronounced and describing things. When people want pictures, describe me a picture. Tell me how it's going to look. You've got people who are more kinesthetic, more feeling based. So the first thing you have a conversation with them, they won't picture something, they won't hear any dialogue going inside their mind. They will, how does that make me feel? So you ask somebody, how do you feel about that? So if somebody's very kinesthetic and you say, can you picture this? Well, no, they've got to go through a process first of thinking about something before they can visualize something. And they might then, on the process of actually going from a thought to a behavior, go through some audio. So they might have a feeling, then they picture it, and then think, well, how does that sound? So people go through stages. You could be talking. So one of the things we got on NLP is eye accessing cues. So, okay, it's this face-to-face situation, but it's good if you watch people who've been interviewed where they're accessing the information. And this is not an NLP discovery. Eye accessing cues are out there, but it's something they use to highlight the difference and how you can gain rapport with somebody and speak in their language. That's the main idea, to speak in someone's language to gain rapport. If you watch people who are chatting, who are getting on with each other, they will kind of stand the same way. You can see a group of people, you know who gets on and who doesn't. They will stand in a certain way. And once they're really engrossed in someone's conversation, you can watch people chatting, a group of lads, whatever, having a chat. The person who's talking might just stop, take a sip of his beer, and you watch everyone else does the same. Because you're all influenced by the behaviour. So anyway, we're looking at somebody, and so it's eye accessing cues. You say to them, you're going to elicit some response from people, and you want to be, you don't want to be sneaky. You don't want to go through like 101 questions, but maybe subtly put a question in, and you can find out where they're accessing, what they're doing. So you ask somebody, say, okay, what does your front door look like? So in order to know what their front door looks like, they've got to visualize it. Now is the cool thing, and it can be flipped if you're left or right-handed. So you've got to go for congruence. What happens on a regular basis when you have asking these sort of questions? So when you ask them, what does your front door look like? Their eyes will flick up left or right when they're instantly accessing this information. It's not a conscious thing. And okay, you could mask that, and people who are professional in the intelligence industry and maybe poker players, they're learning to hide that, to dampen it somewhat. But your mind does do that, and you can't help it. So their eyes are going to flick. So if you're asking something that they have seen, so it's talking about visual now, it's going to be visually remembered. They remember something. So let's say you say, what does your front door look like? And their eyes will flick up, let's say, to the left. So that is going to be their remembered side. So things they remember, that's where it's going to be. If you then say to them, what would your front door look like if it was painted yellow and covered in fur? Okay, so again, it's visual, so their eyes are going to flick up. They can't help it, their eyes are going to flick up. And this is not remembered unless their front door happens to look like that, yellow with fur on it. If it doesn't, their eyes are going to flick up on the opposite side. It's going to be visually constructed. They're constructing that. All a lie, okay? This is where it kind of gets sort of cool with people. So you know when you ask somebody a question, whether they're remembering it, they've seen it, or they're imagining it, they're constructed in their head. Same thing goes with auditory. Ask somebody, what does your phone sound like? What is the ringtone of your phone? It's auditory, and you can't help it. Your eyes will flick one with the other. If it's something you remember, you know, their eyes will flick the same way. So their eyes will flick towards, let's say, this side, their remembered side. So you know now there's a congruence going on that thus they're remembered. That's the kind of true side. That's what actually has happened, or was happening. If you say, okay, what would a dog sound like if it meowed like a cat? Well, that hasn't happened, so they're going to construct it, and their eyes will flick the other way. Towards their ear, the eyes will flick the other way. So you can start getting, you get what you can start to do with these sort of things? Ask somebody how they feel about something, and feeling, you look down. You look down. This is not exact science here. It doesn't always happen in that sort of order, but people will tend to look down when you ask about feeling, something kinesthetic. How does that feel? How would you feel? So you can ask somebody, did you do this last night? Did you go there last night? And if they're saying, so there's congruence, they're saying, yes, I did this. I went here, 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 and they're remembering it, you know that's what happened. If they say to you, I did this, 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 and either their feelings, their eyes, they're going up towards a visual, they're constructing something, they're constructing a sound, they're constructing a feeling, they're making something up. You decide what's appropriate there. Many other things you can do with NLP. I would say, if you're interested at all in NLP, don't read a book by somebody. If I wrote a book on NLP, it would have everything. It would be a great book, of course, I'd be very happy with it, but it'd be my opinion on the subject. Get a book that tries to give as little or no opinion as possible. So something like NLP for Dummies, let's say something like that. Then you can then look at the processes, look at what's of interest, and then once you've got that framework, then you can look more into it. I was introduced in 1990. 7-8 years later, I'm working abroad, and I'm walking through the resort that I worked for at the time, and somebody said my name. So of course I turn round. The guy next door turns round as well. Right next to me, he turns round towards the receptionist. So we're both looking at the receptionist, and then we both realise we're looking at the same place, and then we realise we got the same name. No such things as coincidence. I want to know about this guy. Yeah, he's got my same name, but we're in the same place. In all the places in this whole universe he could be, he was stood beside me. So we started chatting, and he too was interested in NLP, and he was telling me about I think it was a Master Practitioner or whatever. It's the top level of whatever the NLP structure, learning about all the secrets and what you can do. That was basically it. So I thought, okay, that sounds cool. And then he went on to say that the guy conducting the seminar, it's a 10-day seminar in London, was Richard Bandler. Fantastic. So I'm going to learn something. Let's learn from the man himself. So I went back to the UK, attended a 10-day course with Richard Bandler. I was actually the hypnotist. And there's a guy called Michael Breen. I'll come back to Paul McKenna. I do apologise. Paul McKenna, the hypnotist Paul McKenna, Richard Bandler, and a guy called Michael Breen. I like Michael Breen. He's a nice guy. That was it. 10-day course. Explain all the wonders of what you can do in NLP. Mind-blowing things. And I know I said if you're going to get books, then get a book that doesn't give you an opinion. So NLP for Dummies. Find out some basics. But while I was there, I did get a book, Frogs into Princes, by Bandler and Grindler. He's actually signed it, Richard Bandler. You can see his handwriting. Yeah, some like mental 10-year-old. Amazing guy, okay? Fantastic guy. They've also done Transformations 1 and 2. Brilliant books. If you're into NLP, you want to go further into it, then great. Also another book by Bandler and Grindler, The Patterns of Hypnotic Techniques by Milton Erickson. So if you want to know about language patterns of hypnosis and influence, then have a piece of that. You'll enjoy it. That's it, my friends. I've gone on a lot longer than I wanted to be, so I apologise for taking a long time. NLP, beautiful. It's not the only way, but it is most definitely a way for you to have a framework about influence, what you can do, what's possible. Have a look to it, and if you like stuff about NLP, you want to know more about that, then please put your conversation, your chats down below, and I will reply accordingly, of course, as before. So thank you so much for your time. My name is John Anthony, and have a great day. Thank you.